Okay, I have got a message to give you guys this morning. You guys have so much purpose that I'm not even sure you realize how much purpose you have. So when I left Mississippi, I left because the kids have been sick and I was trying to figure out what was wrong with them. And in doing so, I discovered that the entire town was being poisoned. All the officials knew about it. All the big corporations knew about it. And I was hearing all of these stories, all these people suffering, and so were we. So I wanted to help. Hang on. I just wanted to help and make a difference. So I didn't realize that just cleaning up the environment was going to like make people so angry, right? But it did. And the next thing you know, I'm like something out of the Pelican Brief where I'm being drug out of my house at 8:30 at the night in the middle of my daughter having a seizure. I had lug nuts missing off my tires. The retaliation was like, it was just crazy. So I came here to get away from it. I didn't want to work with civil rights stuff. I didn't want to work with any more grant stuff. I didn't want to save any more politicians. I just was tired. So I ran and I came back here, which was where it started with the gas leak here, okay? I thought when I came here that I'd figured out all the corruption and how deep it was and how intertwined everything was. But no, there was still one more piece of the puzzle left. So I switched completely different roles. I'm going from politics and advocating and civil rights and recovering all this money and doing all these things to I'm working at Dillard's as a clinic manager, and I don't even know why. So while I'm working there, I uncover some stuff that did not sit with my soul. Innocent people getting arrested, innocent people paying for somebody else's stuff, and I do what I'm told to do. I followed the proper channels, I reported everything, and then boom, I'm getting retaliated against again. And so get to this house, and it has fallen in the ground so very badly, okay? But the story comes together here, okay? This is where God brought me to bring this story together, okay? And I'm struggling with it in a way because the world is so divided right now. But I don't even think this is about right and wrong and moral and ethical and whatever. And I think all of us are about to be taught like a really big lesson here. So I rented this house 4 years ago after making a really horrible mistake from a couple from India, right? And I became friends with the lady, and while I was here for these 4 years, they were greatly benefiting from my being here. They never had to come do any repairs. They never had to show up for anything. We fed their chickens for almost, I don't know, over half of that time, probably the whole time. She got free stuff from me all the time. And then when my roles changed, her demeanor changed. Now, let me back up. She took me, one of the times that she picked me up, she took me by a house with her. She told me it was her house. And at this time, I did not know that they had 13 properties. So we go to this house. It's completely furnished. Kids' clothes are on the floor. And she's walking me through and she's digging through all this stuff. And I'm assuming it's her stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's her son's house. Maybe this is a grandkid I've yet to know about or whatever. Nope, that's not what it was at all. It was they had pulled some crap with the courts and locked these unsuspecting people out of their house a month after Christmas. Literally a month after Christmas, okay? So when we had the last heavy rain and I realized that all the little things I'm seeing in the house were no longer simple, it was major, major. I had water coming in through the floorboards. The whole house is rocking like this. It's a 4-bedroom brick house. I'm rocking it. So I'm freaking out. So I finally get him to come out here. Now keep in mind, he's been telling me, because they're in India part of the time and they're here part of the time. India part of the time, here part of the time. Just pay for everything, take it off your rent, do whatever. So I'm handling everything. Even all like the giant sinkholes, I'm buying bags of dirt and rocks, and I'm trying, because I don't know how severe the problem is. Well, when he gets here and he sees that, yeah, the reason my daughter almost died is absolutely because of him, suddenly he can't speak English. He can't speak English anymore, and they don't know who the fuck I am. So I said, okay, well, we're going to do this. Okay, that's fine. We can do this. I'm tired, but we're going to do this anyway, right? So first I get a letter out of nowhere from his attorney telling me something. So I call him and I said, look, your client is lying to you. Like, this is like a major issue. We need to, before you represent these people, I think you might want to come look at this property. Like, there's something major going on. So they come back and they offer me $2,500. I said, I can't move on $2,500. That's not enough. But 2 weeks later, I find a house and I say, okay, I found one for $4,700, blah, blah, blah. Well, in the meantime, I think actually right before this, the lawyer tells me in writing, you will take the $2,500 that we're offering you and you'll be out in 13 days and all these problems are yours, basically is what they're saying, or we're going to go file against you in court. I said, okay. Now, for years, I had already been dealing with the corrupt situation with Judge Sherman and the Boone Law Firm because of a $60,000 judgment, and they just kept dragging it out and dragging it out and dragging it out. Now, my ex-husband, who's worth millions, has never been made to pay health insurance, medical. He's never been forced to keep a visitation. And they were letting him file document after document after document to not pay child support. Okay? And in the meantime, on top of doing all that, he's running around telling everybody all these horrible stories about me. And that's the one thing that all these stories do have in common. The lies, the deception, the she's crazy, she's this, she's that. That's the commonality between all of them. So, first I had the corrupt thing with Judge Sherman, and then the corrupt thing going with Dillard's, okay? So then I get to this house, and they say they're going to file all these false documents, and I said, are you threatening me? Like, you're literally going to file a false paper with the court, a court of law. You took an oath. Like, are you serious right now? You think you're going to bully me through the court system? Oh, okay. Well, guess what? I finally had the balls to stand up to that. I don't care anymore. So I call my attorney, and my attorney says, look, are you trying to, you want to sue their ass off? And I'm like, I really don't. I was like, I just don't want to go in the hole. That's all I want. So he said the easiest way to do that is let them file an eviction on you. That way they incur the cost. When you get the papers, countersue for the $20,000 that's allowed, and just go. And I said, I'd rather do that. That's quicker and easier, whatever. Now, in the meantime, we were so sick and I wanted out of here so badly. I found a house for $4,700, called the attorney, said, hey, if you guys will pay this, I'll be out in 2 days. We're too sick to stay here. None of that worked. So I called code enforcement because the crawfish smell was getting so bad, and we were at the hospital like every 48 hours. So code inspector comes out. First thing he says is, saw the video you made about me. And I was so confused, and I'm not going to go through that whole story again, but I was like, all right. Then he identifies, he tells me these people never had permits. They never got approvals. They did all of this stuff without anybody overseeing it, checking to make sure it was correct or anything. The code inspector tells me this. So at that point, he should have started writing fines to make this man go into compliance, okay? And he should have immediately evacuated me and my small children from this house. Now, my daughter just signed a 8-year contract with the Navy to serve this country so we can be free, but what? We don't do our jobs. We don't do anything that the system that we're fighting to be free from or for, whatever. We don't even do it anyway. It's so corrupt. Like, it makes no sense. So, Friday, I'm sitting here, last Friday, and I get a letter, which is crazy because I do not go to the mailbox, ever. So I go to the mailbox, and there's a letter out there that says, you know, somebody had filed something. So I just assumed the paper. I called a friend. She's like, well, maybe the paper, the copy got to you first. It was not a copy of any papers that had been filed. It just said that somebody had filed and that they had been given a partial judgment. And I was like, what? Now, mind you, they've already had court without me with my ex-husband. They did that while I was in the hospital, okay? They took money from me and have still never fixed that based on lies and judgments, court dates that nobody's being informed of. I'm not the only one. That's the problem. I'm not the only one. So I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go down to the courthouse, find out what the hell's going on, because how can you have a judgment when I don't even know about court? Now, first we already had this stuff with the Judge Sherman incident. Now we've got the Dillards incident where they don't even let me speak. They do not even let me present my evidence because they know once I do, it's going to be on public record. Okay? So they shut me up. They ushered me out of the courtroom. They had court without me and would not let me file an appeal. They wouldn't even tell me what happened. Okay? So after that happened, I started getting followed by cops everywhere I went. Police were following me. I don't like bullies. Okay? I don't do bullies. You're not going to bully me. You're not going to bully my children, especially when I'm an open book and you're the one lying. So I'm like, all right. So I go down to the courthouse and I say, I need proof of service because you guys had court, had a judgment. And not only did they have a judgment, they told me that they had a court date, secured a judgment. I was waiting on a sheriff to show up at my house any given moment and lock me out while I had 2 kids in the hospital. Okay? Now, this ain't my first rodeo. They did the same shit to me in Mississippi, okay? Same exact playbook. Pulled me out of my house at 8:30 at night in the middle of my daughter having a seizure when I was like over 3 months ahead on rent. So I'm here now, right? I'm back right where I started. Except this time I have the wisdom, the courage, because I don't care anymore. I'm not scared anymore. I'm not terrified. I'm not here to seek judgment, approval, validation from anyone around me. I'm here to live the path that God put me on, okay? Whatever you believe in, I know how to follow my divine guidance, okay? I know how to do that. We're going to have to do a second video. Hold on.